Okay, it's writer-director of Angry Young Men, Paul Morris here, doing an old school DVD commentary on my first feature. First time I watched it since the premiere at Glasgow Film Festival about 4 years ago. So it'll be interesting to see how much I remember, any wee knick-knacks that come to mind. And for anyone that's interested in filmmaking, first features, no budget filmmaking, blah blah blah, that might be of interest. So grab a coffee or a cup of tea and let's begin. Titles by the magic Lorne Rutherford, graphic designer from Glasgow. And it's a cold opening here, the boys speaking over the top. Done the full subtitles for this during COVID. When I had COVID, couldn't leave the house, I just sat and hand typed all the subtitles for the festivals to send out before AI. And this scene here, you see the red, yellow and blue, the colours of the film, sort of primary colours that were supposed to be childhood, and that's young Cole. He's facing off in the distance there, supposed to be with his mum, sort of tuned out, disassociating, and then he's brought back to reality with his troops, all the kids from Theatre School of Scotland. Oh, they're so good, man. Total pros. We tie, man, God for it. We shot this, was one of the last scenes we shot, it was towards the end. We actually rehearsed all this with the team Theatre School of Scotland. Shout out to Rhys Donnelly for making it happen, but I'd rehearsed with them for so long and we were due to shoot Easter 2020. Had rented a school, so originally this was going to take place in a classroom. I think we got Mulgai Primary and got a price for it and all. I was going to rent it out over the Easter weekend when it was closed. And obviously it fell through because COVID kicked off, so we had to push it back, and then I got the team together when we were able to film again, and we filmed towards the end. These costumes, you can see there's like wee pins in them. They were just absolutely falling apart by the end, so towards the end of filming. And then this is a wee montage. This is Edelwood, the tap scheme. And the youngsters are staking it out, staking their claim, blessing themselves. A wee nod to the fellow Catholics. There's Raymond, some boy man. And this was all done in a morning. I got a minibus off of Stephen McMillan from Bravehearts Boxing. He gave me his minibus so I could cart everybody about every scheme, run about the area we were filming in, so get all the kids in, stuff like that. And a lot of this was just, I would do videos for folk like Theatre School of Scotland, and instead of charging a fee, I would just say like, look, is it okay if I work with the kids? Like, they've got all the chaperone stuff and licensing and obviously access to all these great young actors. I'd say, look, I'll shoot a promo and all this, but if I can just get to work with the kids and do rehearsals with them, and I thought it was mutually beneficial as well, because it's like a no budget feature and good practice for them, and also it's great for me to get young actors that are trained and comfortable on camera. And the same way Bravehearts, I did work for him, and then for Stephen, and I said no fee, just let me use the bus if that's alright, and he was brilliant about it. And this is Sean Woodhead, Michael Erlich, the sort of border. And again, this was towards the end of filming in autumn 21, it would have been, or yeah, it must have been. It was one of the last things we shot. And that's young Charlie and Siobhan there. The girls were brilliant here as well, and all the kids were just so good, man, just total pros, just no inhibitions on camera, just going for it, giving ideas, and just brilliant kids, and grew up so fast. Look at them now, they're all young men. When I see them on Instagram, they're just doing their thing, doing amazing. And this is the titles here, and this is just a one take, so inspired by The Passenger by Antonioni, as you could say, Michelangelo Antonioni, The Passenger with Jack Nicholson. And it's this like one shot, it doesn't cut but jumps forward in time, so that's the boys being older, moved some stuff out the way and just ran the full take, and cuts to this, which was shot years before, but made to look like we've just leapt forward in time and a continuous take, as it does in The Passenger. I'll do it again later in the film, I'll try and remember to shout that out. And this is Nate Boland, who is a total star, and he is the cousin of Pat Bond, aka Subside, who did the score for the film with me, and he's just another total pro. Like, wish I could have done more with him on the film, but his character only has the lines that he has, but he's fantastic. He's so relaxed and so natural, dead expressive in his face, and again, some of him in the camera rolls, he just doesn't flinch, and he's just total at ease. And there's Marnie as well, she's done a great job. And the boys rolling into town. Welcome to Moncton. Signed, designed by me and scribbled on.
Is he still over there? He's in Texas now.
And this is Raymond talking about his escape from Moncton. Moncton, the mock town, Scottish Moncton. But he's off to America and he's doing his last bits of collection. Mixture of protection money, milk money, and all the services the boys provided in little drop boxes that he's stashed around the area they run. And they are the top boys as it starts, but that starts well must end badly, and vice versa. And that's Siobhan, aka Marnie, trying to get some help with the young team kicking off and asking them to keep them in line. It's mad looking back at this. I mean, this is 2018 I wrote this, so it was nearly, was it 8 years ago? Over a period of 3 years. I have no idea what this all came from. I think it was a mixture of organised crime, but then also fusing it with, I don't know, what was real. The young team, that's not very organised, it's just sort of like tribal postcode stuff. But mixing that with, imagine they were organised in a sort of mafioso way or tribal way, but not overly serious because it's still overly silly. There's the troops. And the great thing about Mask is you can double up on cast, and there's our AD Kieran revealing Raymond behind. I love that. And now this is all houses now. There's the old man in me talking about how Hamilton used to look. It's all houses behind them, and it was actually happening at the time. We had to keep cutting audio for builders and trucks going up and down, but the Masks allowed us to double up. If somebody couldn't make it one day, then we could switch out, and apart from Owen, and that's Owen there leading the charge for the Campbell group. Owen's class, he's so game for anything. Great voice, can do comedy, can do silly, but also is pretty menacing when he wants to be as well. I've seen him in a theatre group. Again, for the theatre group, it was that sort of like, I'll do work for you. I did a promo for one of their shows, and it gave me a chance to get to know the cast, a load of them that I used for the film. But I would do promos for them for free with a chance just to, look, can you guys help me out with the film? And that was Owen. But he also went to my school, I think. He was just below me, but all these great people around you that I didn't even know about until you ask for help, or until you let people know I'm doing something, then you realise all these great people exist. It's a good lesson. Like, if you don't ask, you don't get. And this is Nate crossing over here, Nate Bond, aka Raymond, on his crutches. He was on these for so long, and he was just a total pro. And here's the horns starting from the score that I wrote with. I wrote the score and then Pat produced it. I gave him a mess and it turned into something I think's really good, with all his producing skills. And that's the boys about to start the chase. Shot this on the Sony A7S II with a gimbal, with a 16-35 f4 lens. And the Sony was great for low light, autofocus, and obviously it was dead light camera on the gimbal, and that's what we're doing a lot of the time. I loved using the gimbal for this and just getting these tracking shots, and then getting shots like this just coming low down the stairs, up above as if it's a crane. The time it takes to set dollies up, as much as I love them, but you just can't do it because your time's really limited. Even though it's a no budget film, people can only give you so many hours a week, and you can only ask so much. So even though you think, oh, unlimited resources in terms of time, it's not. It's extra tight, so you have to be, everything was storyboarded and planned out. And I love this bit as well, just the wee rotation around Nathan. And the chase begins, and this is us going through Miko Ermic or Woodhead, depending on who you ask. I think it still is Miko Ermic. This is where we all grew up and hung about. And I always thought these areas were good because, as you'll see here, there's a lot of dead ends and stuff where you can only really get on foot, which was sort of exploited for anyone getting chased by the 5-0 back in the day. And all these wee areas we could slip through and get into a totally different area, up the Black Path that we film in later on, and down the Bing, and all these wee areas that only local folk knew and police from other areas wouldn't really know. So that was something I wanted to work on, and you'll see the car driving down here. This got the police phoned this day, because we drove by one of the shops, even though I'd let them know in advance. You can see here with the white masks on and the black car, 4 boys in the ski masks. It was they thought they were going to rob the shop, and I always contact the police after like the second time when they came out, and I realised I was a sound man that told me that you need to email them in the morning no matter what you're doing, just to let them know, and they put a call out to let you know, look, they're filming, it's okay, like don't need to give any money or anything like that. Just tell them like, I'm in this car, we're filming here from this time to this time, and here's what they'll be wearing, so don't get afraid. But the police didn't pick that up, and they still came out. And there's a recording I've got, and it's me sprinting, heavy breathing, to say, "Hey, we're filming," and then all you hear is like, "All units stand down," and it's like they hadn't looked at their notes or whatever to say they're going to be filming. They just heard this call from my shop owner and thought, oh, they're about to get robbed in Woodhead, which again wasn't that shocking of a thing to happen. What a tripper, man, Nathan got up this hill so many times, me try to get the right framing and catch the boys and go back to him, and on the crutches, he's just a total soldier. And this was shot, I think this full chase was like, might have been shot in one day, but it was definitely back and forth. I mean, it was like sometimes you go back and grab a shot, or you can only get to a certain time that people would have to leave, or it'd be too busy to film in an area. Or I was also trying to make sure that there was no people on the roads or people on the streets. I wanted to feel like this sort of like quiet, barren town. So a lot of time you're waiting for a dog walker to pass, or like just a lassie standing in the background with a dog or something like that, because it didn't feel right. I wanted like the only people to be on the streets was to be our characters. And then you've got the troops rolling in, thinking they've got him. And there's Roy, who plays Rocco, and his private radio. Nobody steal it, please. And there's Nathan nowhere to be found, but if you cut to the back, you'll see he's hopped the fence and he's done in. A total soldier, man, up for anything. And the boys got put through their paces, and the girls. A couple of stories where Rebecca fell through a bridge and nearly broke her leg, or lost her leg. I'll point that out later as well. It's the same time as the Antonioni reference. And you'll see here, the trees is the one to look out for if you want to spot goofs, or if you want to make me feel bad, then put continuity and then look at the trees, because in the last shot you'll see luscious green leaves, and now it's totally barren. But you either greet about that, or wait for perfect continuity and the film never gets made, or you crack on and then hope that the audience are wrapped in the story and they won't be too harsh on you. And this is his final pickup, but these been clocked, and these were proper bats. I can't even remember what I pulled. In fact, I do remember what I pulled these off of. It was Connor's banister. He was throwing a banister away, and he said, "Do you want these?" And I said, "Yeah, I do." And I just chopped them up into bats and then wrapped them in tape, which is something that people used to do with like baseball bats back in the day. Apparently, if you wrap it in tape, your fingerprints can get filled from a baseball bat. So when Jerry D were doing these mini Nike baseball bats, they were all the rage, and people would wrap them in black tape in case they had to kill someone.
Funny. Is that how you deal with your fear? By being flippant?
And this one is just him being a bit of a bully. Flip my dick, love. God, it's been a while. And there we go, switch to handheld, lining up the shot. And then, oh, little repeat shot there, aka one of Scorsese's favourites. practice, you know. He'll hold a freeze frame or he'll repeat a shot or drop a frame. So watched a lot of that in reference to violence and how you could pull it off with no special effects or anything else. Again, Moorau, this, I mean, we'd be up at the crack of dawn all the times, but then you'll see this is the winter, so it's only going to get bright at a certain time, so at 9 or half 8 would be the earliest you could get up, if it was dry. And then you'd have people with their kids at the park, and we'd be sitting there with tools, smashing somebody to death. And that's Kieran, the AD, who's absolutely smashing it just now. Very talented boy, great taste, and he was a huge help on the film. He's doubling up for the cast. In the masks, which was a great thing. Now, this is the first scene we ever shot, and in John's hands here, not Miller, but in John's other hand, you'll see him holding what looks like the digger, but it's called Eyes and Ears. This is my mum and my stepdad's kitchen that me and the troops, who are make up majority of the main cast, spent a lot of time in. And this was the first thing we shot in June 2018, very first scene. And it's a good sized kitchen and open plan and all that, but as soon as you bring equipment and people in, you realise like how much space you think you need and how much you actually need. There's two totally different things. And it was a decision here between setting up lights and getting nice looking static images, because you'd have to hide lights and you could do panning shots and show off the space, or you just shoot with available light and you try and make the camera movement dynamic. And that's what I chose to do, rather than having just static close up that'll be better lit, better exposed. I chose to just show the area off, show where they were, the geography, the sort of Brian De Palma thing that he tries to do in Hitchcock, and show the geography so everyone, the audience, is orientated in the right way. That's something I believe in, rather than just all these quick cuts and where they could be anywhere. They could be in a totally different room. And that fry up I made in the morning, again, things that you just, I don't know. First scene I was ever shooting, made all the props like that, sight and sound, with all real stories inside, using photos of like people that are in the cast. I'm sure Miller's on the front cover there, and Roy and Connor are as well. Talk about the Breslin brothers. Wee details as you're waiting to be able to film, making props and all the kind of good stuff. It's stuff that I kind of look back on with a lot of fondness now. All the wee details that go into making up a film, and the passion for the project and making the world feel real. So I made this fry up before the boys arrived. I think we shot in the afternoon. It was the height of summer. Cleared the house out and then just shot and shot. It was absolutely roasting. And the fry up was disgusting by the time we were due to film, because I made it all. I don't know why. I should have made it the day before, but I wanted to see if they would eat it and stuff like that. And I tried to keep it looking realistic. So I think the fry up, I don't know what that is. I don't know if it's just a bit of a, I don't know what it is. I think it's like fools and horses, and when you see food specific to the area and what you really would be eating and things like that. I always like that. I always like seeing what isn't just generic, or what would you be cooking if you were living with all your troops and you're out to start a big day of graft. I suppose it would be something like that, a sort of proper meal. So that was the reason behind that. And luckily my mum's kitchen was sort of in the colours of the cast, with the kind of camel, the green and the brown, which was good, because I didn't have many other options if it wasn't, to totally redo it. So the troops are sitting here going over who owes what's happening, waiting for Raymond. It's his last day, and this is sort of like kicking off, and we're getting an insight into the characters. We've got Don here, who's the kind of man with the pen, the mind, the brains, which is pretty close to John in real life. A very cerebral man, very logical. And Miller, not saying he's never turned up like that to a fry up, but it's believable that he could give in to that sort of chaos if things went wrong. He never has, and I don't think he will, but he just he could play that part really well. And he's just slept up the bing in the muck, chucked at the house away for his kids. And this is someone put a call in. Raymond's gran or mum, I can't even remember. he was supposed to be back in time before he left for America. Before he left the boys, before he escaped, but he doesn't get to escape, which is part of the sort of means of the film and the meaning behind all that. You don't escape when you're in this sort of mindset or when you're trapped in this sort of environment. Again, these are just, when I think about this, what am I thinking about when we filmed? I just remember so many setups and realising what takes what, continuity as well. I think we've done well here, but every time you stop to reset the camera, momentum dies with the actors. Somebody moves a cup, moves their hand, moves their fork away. A cup goes from being standing up to being upside down, as you just see here. I remembered that. It's every time you do that, that's when you watch out for, which next time I go to do my film, I've got a couple of scripts in mind, the next time I shoot, I'm going to do more longer takes because I think it's better for the actors, but it's also just to keep that realness and keep momentum and tension and not just break it, but like, where were you standing and how was that, and just cutting back and forth. Thing is, you could have done 2 cameras here. I suppose you're only using natural light, wouldn't have made any difference, but we had 1 camera, so we use what we have. Tell Siobhan we're asking for her. Sort of fatherly role played by moi. Needs to sort himself out. Everybody can give advice out. And there's the burnt sausages. And here we cut to a lovely summer's day using a jib and a dolly track. I really like this shot. Hard to do because the camera always tips, and it was just a sort of cheap jib and a cheap dolly that I still use, and it's still pretty good, but it's hard to do and balance a camera. Landing on a close-up of Siobhan, played by Rebecca, who's excellent and was a total trooper as well, looking out to Hamilton and beyond, which I always thought was great about Hamilton and part of the inspiration for the film. It felt sort of mythical because you could had this huge view from high up of all these different wee territories looking out to, I think it's the Campsies, way off in the distance, but you can see for miles and miles, and it felt like you're high up in the mountain. But you've got all these wee schemes here and steep hills and places only locals know, as there are all over Scotland, I suppose. And again, I think we're on the jib here, because I think when they go to sit down, I think I do continue the shot, unless I'm mistaken, but something that was in my head was something that Hitchcock said he'd never do, never cut from somebody going from standing up to sitting down or vice versa. Don't know why, if it was just bad form as a director or photographically or for editing, but I'm sure I used the jib here for the full thing to go high up and then go to them sitting down, and you see it, blinds close in the background. Not to dox anyone, but houses in that back area gave us a lot of hassle. When they saw the boys in the ski mask earlier, they thought they were filming a IRA testimonial video with the white masks on. He came out with his poppy on and his walking stick and wasn't very happy. But luckily we resolved it. Roy was wearing a mask there and wanted to tell him, we're just making a wee video. But he never did, luckily, because the boy was game. Oh, that's what I did. I used the crane to go down to the poster that had fell for them setting up, and that's the first clue that someone's rolled into town. And then we used the crane here to go from high to switch levels to them sitting on the deck. Shot in the summer. Lovely bit of soft light. The Sony was great for this in terms of dynamic range and low light and all these other things, but I just loved this spot. Seeing the big view in the distance, something I always looked at when I was a wee guy, and you can see the Campsies in the distance, just high up in the hill, looking out, wondering what everyone's up to as people ponder their lives and where to go next. Spent a bit of time doing that myself. This is the top of Miko Ernick, and this is the two of them deciding, do they make a life for themselves here or aim to leave? Are they above this area. Too many bad memories here. A lot of questions people ask themselves, I suppose. I know quite a lot of people that have left home. Some for work, and I think some people just want to recreate themselves or reinvent themselves and don't want to be reminded of what life was like. And some folk just want the sun, I suppose.
Then something happens, and you make a compromise, and then another thing happens, and another, and before you know it, you're stuck somewhere.
And this bit is something I love as well, because just geographically, this bit is the start. You can see a path behind Rebecca there, and it'll go straight through Meekillarnock. This might not mean anything to anyone, but I like it. It's the black path. It'll go through Meekillarnock to Higharnock, and it's just this big area, long stretch of walkway that will take you up on these hillsides and these great walks, and you'd find anything there, to burnt out cars, to a hut where people used to claim a guy lived in it, but it was just bits of wood, and they said a guy lives in there. Someone had claimed to see, but I never got to see. But a kind of mythical place up the black path. Again, if you're running away from the police, which happened quite a few times, that was one place to lose them, because you could pop up in Higharnock and then come out at Torhead Farm, and then Meekillarnock and get home, and it cuts right through to Edelwood if you go the other way. A bit inside baseball there, but for any Hamilton fans, shout out.
As soon as he's away, I want out of here.
It's funny thinking about this. I can't even remember timeline. This was quite an early scene though. I think we shot, this might have been the second scene that we shot. I think it was in June 2018 after the kitchen scene. And that was in between that time, people got engaged, married, kids were born, and just such a long shoot. It was like about 3 years and a day, I think it was, till we finished it, and then edited in a few months, and then to the festival. And this is from the Hamilton Youth Theatre. These kids were brilliant as well. These are playing like the next gen version of the boys from when they were younger. And now they're looking for Raymond. This is actually the other end of where Alex and Rebecca were. Alex, who plays Charlie there, should have said, Alex Hamilton, great guy. And I put out a post, just like I did with some other people, about casting and all that, and I said, look, I'm looking for cast, and he said, oh mate, I'm interested. And he was an actor, sent me showreel. I was like, where do you live? He says, here, and it was the bottom of my street. I've never met him, never heard of him, and neither had he, but I think we just found each other on social media because friend of friends shared my post about making the film, and we've been mates ever since. And he's a great boy and game for anything, like everyone, and he was perfect. And there's John Boy there, John Kinney, shout out to him. And here we are in, what would you call this, the Woodhead Woods, part of the Five Hills you might call it as well, or part of the Black Path. And here's Miller, who's went away to Spew and found something. And this is a bit people would hang out next to St Peter's School, and then if you look up where all that wooded area is, this is like where you could just go and escape, and that was a lot of inspiration for the film. Like later, this is where the boys go to hide, but it is somewhere where it's pretty enclosed. It's like a wee fortress, and it felt like that when you're younger. I'm sure we all have places like that. We used to go wee dens, and there's Nate, not looking good. Joe and Stephen. Joe was from the EK Theatre School. Like when I said I was shooting videos for them, like Owen, I met Joe there as well. That's another crane shot. I love this as well, a crane and rotating round. I used to practice this a lot when I was waiting to film. Just practice camera moves, practice like jib shots, stuff like that. All the ponchos up, getting washed and dried, and here's my boys, some of my best mates. Jackie Tierney, head prostitute, and Don Boy was not happy. He thought it was setting him up to get laughed at, and I wasn't really. This was just inspired by partly The Godfather when they have the sit down. From the Bronx, Philip D'Italia. Sort of inspired by that, but put in a world that's not as serious and not as organised. and the best they could do was milk and rolls and prostitution, funnily enough, but we kind of play it as if it's a lot tamer. Again, if you want to make a point here, look at the trees and you'll see how long this scene took to film. It took months and months and months to shoot this, and Connor has a video from the first day we shot this, and when I got to the point like 3 or 4 in the day and we had to call it, and I realised I hadn't made the day and we'd only got through half the script. A big lesson in cast size, because we couldn't get everyone together. Like Alex and John are there, but they're not in this scene that we are filming right now. This was shot different days because we couldn't get everyone together. But a lesson in casting, number of setups, camera movements, like I'm trying to perfect this crane shot and dolly shot, but I've got like 6 pages of dialogue to get through, and when I'm focusing on getting the perfectly smooth movement, time's going on, and I might have a great crane movement, but now I've sacrificed continuity, and when's the next time I can get all these people together in the same place? I mean, it's a lot of people to have in one scene, but I didn't want to shoot everybody in close-ups like on different days, because that's just lazy to me, and I wanted to show the geography of the scene, like who's sitting across from who and how they're interacting. Like, because imagine just acting to me standing behind the camera, like read me your line, I'll read you one back, I'll feed you a line here. I want them to bounce off each other, especially when the boys are so good that I just thought they were brilliant and they really interacted well with each other. And when there's a bit of aggression there, and also they go face to face at one point, so I wanted all that to be felt. The boys going at it. But aye, this was just so hard to film. It was just because it was such a big scene dialogue wise. Obviously the boys aren't professional actors, and I'm getting them up at the crack of dawn, and it was freezing some of these days. And I'm trying to do camera movements around them, dolly shots, and I'm trying to get my framing all right. But aye, a big lesson.
Oh, Stanley, stick a leash on her and take her for a shite. She's doing my tits in. Not Doug either, Sydney. Aye, you shagged them, but...
And the boys go face to face, a wee dolly back. I don't know if it was Doris that shot that, but I think it was a different bit of the scene that Doris shot. Shout out to Miguel, operating the camera for one scene. It was shot a lot of shots with him, but he was neck deep in the graft, so he couldn't commit to the weekends. And God, if we even have had known it was going to take 3 years, maybe I wouldn't have, but it's in the can now, forever. So a really long scene, but introducing all the boys and then showing the conflict and showing the plans. But as you can see here, like the light changes, there's leaves in the trees, man. Like I remember sitting in the edit being like, this is just, what am I doing here? And this is actually one of the scenes where I was like, even crack on with this. And then my wife was like, no, she looked at what we'd shot so far. This was maybe like the 3rd scene we'd shot, 3rd or 4th scene. And she was like, no, this is good stuff. Like, it'll be good when you finish it. So thank you to Nicola. And this is showing off the boys' slightly unhealthy lifestyle. They've rinsed the place of drink and everything else as they recount the evidence they have for Raymond, a sort of procedural element, like John going through his logical, or Don rather, played by John, going through his notes, all the evidence he has so far, what's happened to him, coming to their conclusions about, something else is at play here. And also hitting you with some exposition here. How do you deliver the exposition? How do you come to realise that, or how do you come to tell the audience that the boys are in a position where so and so wouldn't start with them because of this, or they're a shite bag, or nah, this wouldn't happen because of this, without directly telling them. And we had it through them recounting evidence, basically, and recounting all the dynamics are at play. And that's quite a good challenge to tackle all that exposition, like, again, because sometimes it can just be like, there's a kind of, I can't remember who it was, I don't know if it was like Alexander McKendrick, this Scottish writer-director who made Sweet Smell of Success, really good, but he was talking about how there used to be a famous example of exposition, and it was like, one character talking to another, and they said, well, as you know, my uncle is the Duke, so he wouldn't allow this to happen. So it's like almost something you would never say in conversation, like telling them information like that, but you're only saying it for the purpose of the audience to be like, by the way, his uncle's the Duke. So it's like a scene like this. How do you let them know? Like say, oh yeah, they wouldn't do that to us because of this. It's like you're informing them, or you're recounting it, or you're kind of trying to work through the problem in real time, which I thought was more interesting rather than just big dumps of exposition. And here we have the paupers at play. For the record, I wanted it to be real paupers, and we started off that way, but as takes and takes went on, I think it was John that just was like, this is not happening, we are not doing paupers, and try to remember lines. And also, I think he just finished it, we're not doing paupers. So I tried to keep it method, but John kept it real, and thank God he did, because that would have been a even longer day. And this came to me just from watching people on a train having a conversation after a night out, and they'd have a sniff, they would say something and pass it to their mate, and then they would chime in. I just thought it was a really funny way of passing the baton for conversation and exposition. And here we get Roy, aka Rocco, getting fathered by Con, playing Stanley, letting you into the little dynamic and the power dynamic. And I like this element. It was a sort of like cop drama, detective thing. Like, here's what we know. Let's try and work this out. Showing the boys showing off their brains rather than, I don't know, just having things happen. Just try to show their kind of thought process, that it's logically they would become quite efficient in the town, or quite formidable because they are thoughtful and also game. A good combination for anyone, I think. Boldness and brains. And then here we have Roy, who's been counted out, Rocco, as someone to ignore, coming through with the breakthrough, showing that he's just a quiet man and not dumb. And you can even see the breath changing here. I mean, looking at it fondly now, but at the time, sitting in the edit, praying that it would get into Glasgow, or something would happen with the film, thinking this has just buried me, like this scene. I don't know why I wrote it and why I made it so complicated. But luckily people were forgiven, and I think keeping the story going and interesting, and people stayed in the scene, and it's amazing how much people will forgive. And as you can see, there's safety pins keeping the ponchos together even then. But these came from a shot in 2016. So by the time we finished filming in 21, they were just like dissolving in our hands. And there's Liam, great guy. And it's a sort of open day for the Campbell group. And these were contracts I typed up and actually had all proper information here. I love this wee reverse zoom using the 16-35. Reminds me of Barry Lyndon, and there's Ewood in the background that we've seen earlier, and the troops are spying on them.
Hello there, what's the names? McLeish, Chris McLeish.
This was a big one. This was an early scene we shot as well. Very windy day. Get all the props sorted, and various cast members of Pigeon Ducats in the background, and people just walking by going, what are you doing? What the hell are you doing with those masks on? Taking pictures and all that. But a lot of people talk about, oh, I don't care what other people think. A lot of people don't even care about anything. A lot of it's just in your head. So going out and filming in the street, there might be some anxiety about it, but nobody really cares. And the majority of people are really, really supportive. People we saw would shout out the window up in Miko and be like, what are you up to? Like, I'll make a film about a class. Good luck on that. So the sort of people you think, oh yeah, there's so many haters. There's none. You are your biggest hater. Get over it. Stephen there, Stephen's some boy, so is Jojo, was great. Stephen's now in Canada, I think. He's running a drama school, killing it. He's made his own TV series at this point. He made Ouija's. done great work. Real grafter.
Right, it's just the boys for the Brambles to go and that's us. They won't come. Sorry.
And now we have Michael, my boy, who's now a fully fledged filmmaker himself.
Well,
Don't know if he was, no, he can't have still been in school
sure
then.
we'll work around it.
Pretty young. Pierce there, comedian.
I'm greedy. They won't do it.
Great boys.
Well, we'll work
Very game, and also doing their own thing. Pierce the comedian, Mick the filmmaker, and also helped me build my PC with lots of online advice
They tied him up to
that I used to edit the film.
£10 it
Sweet
was.
Brandon.
£10 and a day late. I was on my way to get to them at the time, but they said I was late. And that
Again, this is just giving backstory on the boys. They're not very well liked, which makes it believable that if someone came in and offered another option, rather than be under their iron fist, that they would take it because they're pretty brutal, which I like. And then we let it out that
He said someone was battered.
they thought they just smashed a rando, but they'd smashed one of their boys.
Aye, they will do it.
Always moves me when that happens, and I suppose it is revenge stuff, but it always moves me in a film where people show their love for people in their life by taking action, whether it's revenge or showing how angry, or
I'm sure they'll come to their senses soon enough.
just them kicking into action, making a plan to right this wrong, basically, always moves me. So knowing that the boys won't let Raymond's thing go, I always like it. Always makes me laugh and always gets me excited.
I thought you'd put him at the white.
I did as well at the second I left them.
And there's Jack Boy on the right.
Right.
He was
They need to
brilliant.
panic. All they've got is a body down the woods, and even if he's alive, he's going to be in no fit state for talking anytime.
And here we are letting them know that the dead giveaway is that they pinched Raymond's gaudy piece of jewellery.
You're right. Could have been
The
any
sixth
lot.
god,
We're fine.
clasped hands.
Plus, if he's anything like that lot,
And they think they're off scot-free, they think they're diddies.
even if they do figure
But the boys are watching.
You're right. We're fine. All we need to do is get that lot out there and earning for us, and then we are out of here.
what about this mob up?
The Brambles, that was the name of the boys'
Don't want us leaving
territory.
20 man sign.
Funny is when we've wrapped the film,
Let them think that
a
they
pub
want, but
changed
they'll
their
make no
name to the Bramble Cafe, or it was the Bramble Cafe, right next to
wage.
where we were
Angels
filming.
come looking for a deal like
But obviously
yourself.
nobody knew outside of who was filming that that's what we called the area. It was just one of those funny omens that maybe things were going to be okay,
Bump us up the rank a wee bit.
or pure coincidence, but I like to be romantic about it and think it was the universe saying, don't worry about the changing seasons or leaves falling off.
We'll be laughing.
I've got you. I got you, mate.
Just hang tight, we'll be out of this shithole.
A wee iris there, wee old school iris effect to show, we know it was you. The boys doing the milk again. Funny things you remember. I found this milk crate, right? I was looking for a milk crate. And I was driving home to Coatbridge from Hamilton. I don't even think I lived there. I was actually just going over to see my now wife, but I seen a milk crate lying at the side of the dual carriageway just before McDonald's Bells Hill. As I was thinking about it, talk about like omens and the universe, but I seen this milk crate just as we were about to film this scene. I couldn't get one anywhere. I just ran up and I got it. They just thrown it off the side of the road. And the glass bottles, it's hard to find glass bottles of milk as well. No one does them anymore. And then I made labels about the Campbell Group, basically Campbell Group milk. This Miller in the bin with the Apocalypse Now face paint on. And then the boys in the background there again with the Sony low light helped a lot. Shot this at night in summer. Again, a silly move because you have to wait till so late for it to get properly dark. And John Boy cleared out that entire bin with a pressure washer. He was just such a trooper. He done so much. He was driving cars and fixing props, and there's the blood in the milk, which I liked a lot. I really liked that actually. That's the boys made it one each. But shooting the night. I don't know if I'm rambling here. I'm just actually watching the film and all these things are coming back to me. But apologies if none of this makes sense or I'm running one into the other. By props and things that just happen, and things like invisible hands helping you, invisible forces coming to your aid. This was an early scene as well, if I remember. I really liked this, but the wheelie bin was really hard. Roy, in fact, all three of these boys here were so hungover, and Roy spewed for about 3 litres of spew outside his car, carrying a bin in the back, which was clean. then Owen spewed, then Jack spewed, and they were all rough, and this was a common occurrence for various members of the cast. And here we go, this is what the gimbal was great for, these tracking shots that I love. I love the score here as well with the strings. Yeah, you might be seeing the background here, but we get rocks lobbed at us quite a few times. People shouting, and then as we finished, we went back to the car, and these two wee angelic boys, about 8 or 9, were like, "What are you doing?" He says, "We're making a film." I'm like, "Oh," and it was them that was throwing the rocks. But they were like so nice to us after it. I just wanted to see what we're up to and participate. And this is down Woodhead. I love this. Is again, the biggest problem is who could fit in a bin, because sometimes it's just if your legs are too long, doesn't matter like your height, if your legs are too long you couldn't crouch down low enough to not be seen with the lid closed. And that's their Campbell poster and a wee scribble on the back to say, "Let's have it."
Oh, Jesus Christ.
And there's your boy brought back to you in a bin. How'd you like that? For that scene where Miller's coming out the bin, I'd storyboarded it for like 8 or 9 bins, or all the boys to be in bins popping up at the one time, and they're like, "Why is there bins out? That's not a bin day. That's something else." The gangs run the bins in this barren town, but I could only get my hands on one bin, so we just had them behind the wall and then made it look even odder just having one single bin sitting out. So they could spy on them without being clocked. And then we can see he's still alive when he's a badnik. Goodbye. And there's the shooter. This was again a hard prop to come by.
Still work? Aye, it works.
And this is justified. A wee Chekhov's gun, but it's justified by the fact that Rocco and Stanley are farmers. That's something else I looked into. Like, guns aren't as easy to come by as American films, obviously. And you can buy them at the bank or at your corner shop, but farmers are allowed to have guns. They're part of shooting clubs and stuff like that, rifle clubs, but so that was the justification for how they would have a shotgun and would know how to handle a gun. What was the point? I think here we used some lights, I can't remember, but I know that the white walls in my mum's kitchen provided a lot of bounce, and then we had a lot of sunlight, so it kind of filled in a lot of the shadows, which was good. This Adam boy here playing Colin, tried to provide a proposal, a truce. And I came switching these pictures out in the background. First one was the Sacred Heart, and then that was just a picture of Christ and a young Arab boy that I found at a converted HMV, a proper bazaar or junk shop. You'll see it in the background there, it's pretty good. In fact, was that me, or is that something we had in the house of Christ? I don't know if that's from Medjugorje. I don't know. Take the deal value, go fuck yourself. Go fuck yourself. Defiance, that's one of the most, it's my favourite traits. And a wee Palm Sunday in the background above my shoulder. But aye, defiance is something I love to see. Defiance in the face of bad odds, where it's not looking good for you, but you're still like, fuck you. Fuck you. And there's the boys just sitting in the kitchen there. Nice bit of framing there, I like that, seeing every face, bit of deep focus. Such a big learning curve. A lot of it wasn't even caught. He's my ambition. That's me as a wee boy, a wee baby. He's getting sentimental here, talking about how kids are the future, and that's why I'm taking this deal with this new group, because I need to earn money now. A very real feeling, but it's funny when you think. It's funny when you just say, nah, fuck that. To anything serious, shut up. Anything heartfelt, just go, nah, I don't want to, don't fancy it. Bye. Big John cracking a smile. Palm Sunday, I can't remember what they're called in the background, God forgive me, but showing the boys' heritage, and there's the primary colours again with the childhood ringing out, showing that this is what it's all about, a little bit of a allegory. Escaping childhood, being surrounded by childhood, conquering childhood, blah blah blah, all these things that go through your mind when you're writing and you think, oh my god, I'm amazing. And then we have the troops over the brow of the hill and the ladders here, getting ready for a little guerrilla warfare, something I looked into a lot about these sort of, how does a small group conquer a larger group, you know, guerrilla warfare of the Viet Cong and the IRA, and jumping out of nowhere and just boom, hit and run. The element of surprise. There's Roizel with the snout. And there's Alex coming over the hill here. Lovely bit of atmospheric fog here, like Mickey Park. It wasn't this day, but there's a fight scene coming up here later on, a huge fight scene where it went on the Hamilton newsstand and there was loads of people turned up to watch it. Luckily we just wrapped, so it didn't affect the shoot too much, but nah. And again we're tracking back with the gimbal, which is just, this ground is so uneven.
Is that face paint?
And here's the troops at the door. Fuck you. And here we go, they're thinking, whoosh! They're thinking, we just want to talk.
Billy, help me, Billy! Help him.
What's the funny thing about all this, how much goes into short scenes as well. I mean, by the time you get the cast together and then get it quiet, I mean, that was one of the biggest worries. It wasn't even like, I don't know, people talk about filming and all that and the anxiety of, oh god, I feel silly. That wasn't an anxiety thing for me. It was, somebody's going to turn up. Somebody could turn up here in a public place and just stand in front of the camera, and there's nothing I could do. See if they were like just stood there and blocked every scene. There's nothing I could do, and that was a worry, that you just get someone really unreasonable, which I've had, because I've made shorts here with the boys since 2013 or something, and some of these people are just nuisances, but this was good. Like Darren here playing the chief. This is in Coalbridge now, which was made to look like it was the outskirts of the Black Path, and in the background it's like Big John with the specs on over his mask. And here you'll see a sort of tiered system with the masks, so there's purple there on the chief, red there on Graham on the right hand side, who's an absolute unit. He's an ex-wrestler, absolute madman. He would just throw himself from way in the air on the solid frosty ground and just not even flinch. He was amazing. He was so good. As Tinto, named after Tinto Hill, because he's a big unit. And there's Big John in the background playing one of the henchmen in a white mask with his sunnies on. Just, I mean, just the boys were just unbelievable in this. They're just showing up to double up for cast and to drive and to like assist. Done so much. My beautiful boys. This is the chief saying, this is the chief saying, you're making a mess of this. You're supposed to just come in and get these boys signed up, get their money and boost. And now Tinto's going to take over. And we find out that's his dad, the chief. He's a wee Nepo baby, been sent to... You're the one that fucked it, Billy. As a lot of wee daddy's boys do when they're given too much too soon. And now Tinto's about to sort things out, because Billy's lost a man already, lost two, and he's losing his grip on things. And then cut to these little characters here being mischievous, as they were in the very earliest scene. McLeish and Edmund trying to make their own wee backhanded deals, and this is an ode to Taxi Driver, guns on the bed. There's Paul Dock, the man, the legend, playing an arms dealer, drug dealer, a man who can acquire anything. It's amazing here as well, when you're looking back and when you're filming stuff, and how much you think, like, just because you can get an exposure doesn't mean it's the scene's like ready. Like, I had a bare bulb here and I thought, right, that'll be dead contrasty, but real bulbs are so much dimmer than what you need. So in a scene, say for example, I wanted this to be in total blackness, but that bulb being the only thing that lit every face, so it was dead heavy shadows, that would be like a film bulb you would replace that with, so it's a lot brighter, but it would look like a practical. Just a wee bit of silliness there, but at the time I thought I'll just put a bulb hanging there on a C-stand and it'll be very moody and atmospheric, but it wasn't enough. So it just looks quite like there's quite a lot of ambient light, which was a big learning curve in terms of just cinematography, but you get that much going through your head in terms of what you need from a writer's point of view, and just even from like angles, that you can learn so much so quickly. And I worked on an addiction clinic at the time we were filming this and making this, but this was like Miller, aka Sydney, tried to come off the drink and he was given tablets. I don't know if it was Valium or it was, can't remember what I said it was in the script, but it was something that was like, just taper these off and this will help with withdrawal. And there's John Boy out getting ready to do all the hard tasks. And this is another crane shot I practiced a lot to show a full squad out there, man. I think about all these people that turned up, all the boys. My sweet boys turned up to help and were so game for getting frozen cold and having a scrap. We'd been filming for quite a while at this point, so I'd been posting about it for ages and people knew what we were doing, and I think a lot of people, so I had Chris Rock quote, it's like, if your car breaks down, get out and push it and other people will help you push, but if you just say, help me push this car without doing it first, then it's like nobody wants to help. And I think that was the same with making the film. People could see that I was putting the graft in and they were like, that's class, so I'd like to help out if I can. So I put the call like an MD, turn up here, Mickey Park, wear black, it's for a massive scrap, and then all these amazing boys turned up. And there's Big Graham here with the 2 wooden bats made of banister. And there's a big drone that I'm flying here, and then whoosh, up in the air, uppercut, bang. Look at Graham, the wrestler in him, man. Right back on his back, solid ground, did not care. And there's Charlie rocking up. God, I've seen this in so long, man. This is a mad day. I think my mum rocked up with sandwiches and all that at break time, and Johnny's sister and I worked for Red Bull at the time, doing stuff at the weekend, and the Red Bull girls turned up and gave us all Red Bull. It was pretty class. And Josh was up doing behind the scenes stills and stuff like that. He got some great pictures of that day. It was just that's the thing I kind of look back on. Obviously you look at the scenes and you can look at stuff you would have done differently and flubs and this is screw. That was a pair of tiny sponges soaked in fake blood that Roy just pushed down at the eyes that were getting gouged, stuff like that. But the thing you look back on most is just the fondness for people's willingness to help and how game people were, and just the humanity of it, like having a dream and folk helping out. That was the main thing. That's the main thing. I feels gratitude, kick to the balls, punch in the balls. So for this scene, right, Alex is holding a real hammer, but I bought a prop hammer, and there's Miller's just leathered Ted from house ropes, which is believable. So that's a prop hammer, right? That's just made of foam. But I'd given a real hammer from the hole just so the weight looked right. Graham said, "Hit me with the real hammer." I said, "No, I'm not hitting you with a hammer." But he was game for anything. And then here we go, the big slow-mo shot, and then here's Miller coming in for the penalty kick. Heeds! I'll leave it, I think he says. Boinch. There's a wee POV shot, bit of blood spurting. Snap neck. And there's all the troops a bit battered and bruised. And their main man's been taken down, so they've all shot it after that, which again, happens quite a lot. This was like a full afternoon. I can't remember what time of year this was. In fact, I do. It was right before I got married. I think it was September 2019.
Where's Jackie?
Maybe about halfway through filming everything that we shot this. So we had enough behind us again. You need to be kind of tactical with what you film and when. I heard someone say when I was making this, and it was like, film your first scene last, because of how much you'll have learned in the process of shooting and how well you'll know the script and the film you've made. Whereas if you start off and it's like you're a bit unsure and you don't really know the direction, obviously the script tells you a lot, but that was good advice, like to have a bit behind you first. So we shot like a middle scene first, that one in the kitchen, and then like that we shot maybe like 6 months in, no later than that, maybe a year in it would have been, if that was September 2019, we started in June 2018, so that big fight scene I'd been posting for like a year, and people knew how long it was taking, how hard we were working, and they seen clips and said, oh, it looks quite good, and that's how they helped. So being tactical about what you shoot and when. So if you need a huge team, it's maybe not a good task for that in day one. And also, I'd been shooting so much and thinking about it so much, I knew exactly what I needed and what I had to do in shot listing, and I felt comfortable, and I was pretty confident and efficient. And this is in Roy's mum and dad's house, not to docs. And then here we have some rotting flowers that smelled horrible, but was a wee extra visual metaphor in between the wee silhouette shot of Alex and Rebecca. Again, Rebecca was class. This is the boys about to go to the mattresses, as they say, into hiding, because they've just taken out a big dog and it's no longer good for them. So they're going to gather their things, say their Cheerios, and they're going to head up the Bing, which was an old fantasy of mine. Imagine just living out, camping out in a field or up in the Five Hills where you were just self-sufficient. So, again, tied to childhood, tied to boyish fantasies. And here we are all packed up. This was a tent I got in Gumtree. 50 quid I went and met a guy. He Polish guy, and gave me all this gear for filming that we only used for one shot. And this actually was the very last scene we shot. Excuse me, there's eyes and ears doubling up for the digger, talking about the boys having shot at and going to hiding. This is a trick shot. In the tunnel is the same three boys in the foreground, just masked out, which is quite good, doubling up the cast again, finding tricks to make it look more busy. This was the last scene we shot before COVID, and I like this here, so the wee light change. So this was the last scene we shot before COVID, but Gary's in this scene, Gary McClellan, filmmaker, friend of mine, and he's doubling up because again, we couldn't always get all the cast there together. We didn't know COVID was coming, or we thought, oh, we need to shoot this before everything gets locked down. It just happened to be the last scene we shot, but I really wanted to get scenes shot and get stuff in the can and move on, and I knew it wasn't a dialogue scene, so I thought, right, I'll just cheat it, because there's so many people in the scene. I thought you're not going to be looking to see who's not there, but so Gary doubled up, I think it was for Dom, as they set up their camp, and then we shot this much later with a few of the boys. There's got loads of B-roll or second unit sort of stuff you would get of them looking out for the boys taking over the town, and there's a fire going. So the boys are out camping out and hiding in the town, sort of looking worse for wear. And here's the youngsters coming to help, bringing up letters and bringing up bits of scran soup and all the rest of it, giving them wee care packages from home, because if they show their face they're going to get smashed. By that fire we started, I brought like a pack of sausages up and all that. I was going to get like a wee barbecue scene and all that, but there's Charlie getting a letter for Siobhan. But the fire, I was terrified of the fire, like I didn't want it to get out of control, even though it wasn't like a very dry day, so I put it out, but the boys kept throwing stuff on it to get it to light, and then I was looking at all them, and I was like getting pretty anxious about it, and I was kind of losing the rag a bit, and then the fire just like combusted again. It became light. I was like, who did that? And everyone was like in front of me. It couldn't have been any of it. It just combusted. It just went back up again after we put it out. Dangerous fires, eh? And this is a drone shot when it snowed. I would stay in the house, and this is actually a Coatbridge, but it looks like the Five Hills right next to my house. So I would stay, I'd be working from home. This was during COVID, and then it was winter, and I'd be like, right, as soon as it snows, I'm getting winter shots, because I'd written this into the script that the boys would be hiding out for a few seasons. So I'd grab my stuff, grab my drone, and get those snow shots in the woods. I just think they look stunning. And that shot there of Owen looking out was inspired by Ivan the Terrible. Big foreground head, and then landscape in the background. And there's Miller gubbing his pills, Sydney. And it's my favourite shot, I think. One of the favourite shots in the film, this drone shot, as the boys are hiding out, and you can just see the Five Hills in all its glory sitting at the top of Hamilton, and the sort of fortress or a moat of trees around them, protected and trapped, I suppose. And apologies again if this is just not making any sense, sort of stream of consciousness thing here, but I'm just calling it as I see it and what's coming to my head. So this was shot, I think this was the first scene after COVID lifted slightly. Not this one. Not this one, actually. The chase scene that comes after this was the first scene we shot after COVID, and I remember I was sitting at my desk, hadn't shot anything in maybe a year and a half, and I knew I had like 50 people coming the next day. Height of summer, so I knew the weather was going to be okay. I checked all that, but it was a big chase scene through Fairhill on streets. We had it early enough, but I just thought I was terrified really. I was sitting at my desk proper, like nearly in tears with anxiety, and it's something I've never really experienced, but I remember thinking like, I'm going to make a mess of this, and I think it was just how I hadn't filmed in so long, and it was the first big thing since COVID. I wasn't worried about COVID, I was just worried about making a mess of it, so I was like so scared, like what if nobody turns up? We've got this big scene and it only works if I've got a huge squad chasing them through Fairhill, and then luckily human beings turned up and they gave all their time for this project that we believed in, and they were so nice about it. And here is Bucking Street, where we used to hang about. This is Fairhill, sweet old Fairhill next to Ikram. Shout out to Ikram's. Beautiful summer's day. And here's Alex through his bait. Charlie Boy's the bait, so he can draw the heat away so they don't get Miller more pills. Sydney rather, more pills. And now everyone's here, they're all sort of taking over Moncton as a whole, and the boys are out of the picture.
How much longer do we have to stand
But
about like this, Chris?
they've got their whistles in case anybody turns up. And here's a wee butterfly blade.
What's that for? A trophy.
And this was all shot in one day, so this was all after the first thing at COVID. After COVID, so a huge team. And again, I was just really anxious. There was a lot of setups, complicated things like driving a car through with me hanging out the boot, shooting the boys running towards me, drone shots. And I was just worried about people not turning up, people blocking us off. Always a worry about the police are just going to turn around and say some law that we can't do this, or homeowners are going to come out and just stand and be a nuisance. But luckily it didn't happen. On the whole, everyone was great. A few oddballs, but this day it all went really well. But I was so like sick, to be honest, the night before just thinking about it, because this shot only works if there's so many people coming towards them. And luckily we got this in like 1 or 2 takes, but God, the man, I think, is it Michael Simpson pulled his hamstring running down this hill, or the next bit? There's Alex running for his life. And there's Miller getting carried back to hiding after getting his tablets, and then you get this big drone shot. The other reason for the costumes is obviously the kind of primary colours for childhood, but then again, just against the sort of like monochrome colours of the schemes and of Hamilton, having these bright colours, which works quite well in the drone shots there. You can see them very clearly in who's who, and then having almost like these, not football colours, because I think that gets overcooked or overdone about how big an issue that is, but again it's just a sort of tribal colours, not Bloods and Crips as such, but just identifying who's who by where they're from and the colours they wear. But mostly the childhood imagery was the main reason for the costumes, and in the masks it was just because everyone sort of blends into one, or people become faceless as you grow older, I suppose. To me that was the main reason. Those midges, man. And that's Woodhead Bridge, sorry, and you see all the boys just sprinting towards it. Are you stabbing there? Goodbye, Stanley. All the trips there were so good. Shakespearean from Connor Black, some boy. And then you think Rocco's shot it there. But you're wrong. And then we're going back into the Five Hills, which they know do not enter. Thing is, I remember seeing that. I remember being up the Five Hills and people would be drinking or whatever, and then the police would come up and you would just see you would see some poor copper trying to get up the hill down at a waterfall, and just a wee guy standing about a mile away going, "Fuck you," because he just doesn't know where he's going, and the wee guy does.
Who's responsible for this?
And then there's Big John with his voice pitched up and his sun specs on, and Stephen's been awarded a higher rank. Tinto's mask. Almost like a karate belt system. And then you can see in the distance the boys are quite close to home here, looking out to see what's happened. A letter to Father Harry. This coffin, man. I made this over a weekend with bits for B&Q, and when we were up here, a guy took off his hat and stood as if it was a real funeral procession, and they're having the funeral up the Five Hills, and yeah, that's got a big laugh at the premiere. The Europe Brothers, the score being played on a practical organ in the scene, but as Sean. These boys make you laugh so much, man. And originally I thought we need to dig a grave here and then have all those soil, and luckily I knew we could just buy a bag of soil and carry that with the coffin and pour it on top, and it looked like a grave had been dug. Because thank God, because that ground was absolutely solid. And the wee makeshift cross. And it was so windy this day. You can see the trees going mad, and you'll see it later on as well. You can see it here. It was so windy. I think it was summer, but it was just blowing a gale. Oofed. Don't say that, son.
Siobhan, I'm very sorry to learn about your father's passing. Can you express yourself?
These boys are so good. They're doing amazing stuff just now as well. The Europe Bros. They are amazing. And they were so funny on the day. I think we went to Tim Hortons after us and talk shop, but they were doing sketches, I think, but nothing like they're doing now. They're doing so well now. You see Ben in the background, he's got a green collar on again. It's like the kind of karate belt system. There was a line we filmed here, but I cut it just for pacing, and it was Ben tries to chime in, and then Sean says, not until you get your white collar. As if priests have like collar rankings as well. So it's a funny touch within this universe. And in this scene is what I was talking about earlier with the Antonioni passenger sort of reference about the camera booming round or panning round. This is on a crane just now. It creates a different effect to just a standard pan, I think, because it's not just rotating on one point. It's drifting, it's moving as it's panning round. It's on a long arm, so it's moving through space rather than just rotating in a static position. So you'll see here. What is it we did here? Rebecca starts reading her dialogue, and then I think I tell her here to jump out and jump round. I like the score here as well. So we're showing off like everywhere they've been. We've seen this location quite a few times over the course of the film, so the idea was just to kind of take this in, and as she's recounting her life, it's sort of the overgrown, sort of, it's time to get out of here, I think, which again, should have all kind of confronted that at some point, but a nice wee smooth boom round from me, and this is like from the passenger, because he moves from one position, and look, she's now on the other side of the camera but still talking, so it's like this continuous take, as if it's kind of came full circle in terms of where Charlie is. She's almost talked him round, and we're showing that with the camera position, like we went, I don't even know if no one ever even mentioned this shot to me, but I do think it is really interesting using that sort of technique to go from her on one side and without breaking anything or drawing too much attention to it. It's almost like she's now on the complete opposite side, as if nothing else has happened, continuing our conversation, but it's changed. The psychology of the scene has changed because Charlie's went from being in a kind of doesn't understand to now he's again been talked round, but we're also capturing down the 5 hills and showing off just how overgrown and perhaps messy it is, like just like a mind filled with, I don't know, conflict and with weeds. I suppose that's a kind of basic way of looking at it, but I suppose a relatable feeling. And here we have the Daisy Park in Coatbridge, shot again in summer. Had to be like midnight again, very silly for me, but even at this time of night, trying to get a silent take was really hard. And then you can see someone staking it out, someone just passed the lens there. But this is a meeting with the chief out the way of Moncton to see what is going on here. I always loved this. Standing in front of the car lights. Again, the Sony was great for this for low light because there's like no noise. Really good camera for that. But down the Daisy Park and it was really late at night. And you're trying to get a quiet take. And then again, talking about weirdos, a guy just drove down and just sat. It wasn't doing anything, just stared and just sat in the dark, pitch black. And this, more than one person did that. The other people that did it were like teenagers just going out for a drive. But this was just an older guy. I love this with the glow sticks as well. The colours relating to the area they're from in Moncton. Shot up the Black Path as I mentioned earlier, but this was shot down the Daisy Park. And that's a mixture of fox noises and screams of men. And this is them basically saying we need to solve this once and for all after they killed Stanley. And here we have Stephen with his new mask on. He's getting a bit of courage now, he's got the new rank, setting it up the reward. If you want this done right, then God, I forgot half of this story, man. Which is fair enough, because you'd be asking people to do stuff. Again, it's like current wages, I suppose. Like, why would you do a job like that for no money? So he's telling them to up the money, and there's Big John in the background with his big whip. And the main shot, always loved that. Pretty dark in this scene, but I always liked it. You can see the colours of the cape, we identify it as the chief, and then you can see some of the red of Stephen's mask, and the moon in the middle, a wee triangle, bit of composition. But I can't even remember what I was talking about there in terms of the scene. I was up the Daisy Park at the middle of Coatbridge and it was dead late at night, but I tried to get a clean take. Love this shot as well. The car lights illuminating the scene, a wee bit of moon above them, but it was even at this time of night, sometimes you get the odd plane, you get a car passing by, you'd have to retake. You think you get the dead of night and that it'll be dead quiet and dead easy, but it wasn't. It really wasn't. There's always something happening. It's what you realise what quiet really means when you're trying to do sound in a film.
Any idea where you'll go first? Nah.
And this is one of the final farewell scenes. I think this is one of the last that we shot, if I remember right. Because you can see even the grass here compared to earlier with these weeds.
Dawn's got a few ideas, but
I think it was yeah, I do think this was kind of towards the end of the film. This is the boys sort of packing up, getting ready to go. They've decided it is time to boost at some point, but Alex is boosting, or Charlie's boosting with Chevron, and he's decided it is time to go.
speaking of which, guess see yours, mate.
And the boys are saying their cheerios, and this is like leaving home and saying bye to his childhood pals, and choosing love over, not love over loyalty, but love over the people he grew up with, and a vicious cycle, I suppose, and breaking the cycle, which is hard to do when you love people you grew up with, and you help each other grow up, as these boys have, as you've seen earlier, and Charlie's character's with his mum disassociating, and then he's with the boys and it's exciting, and they've got structure and they've got plans and they're helping each other, and Jimmy's asking them, do you need any money, and look after yourself, you know, you've got these people like, they're like family to you, and you help each other grow up. And he's having to leave because he realises it's no good for him.
Yeah, let's get this packed up so we can fuck off as well.
And then Jimmy's planning to boost. But what we'll see here is, this was one of the very last we shot in winter. And this was a big scene. In fact, this was actually just as they we'd already had this planned for weeks and weeks and weeks, and then this has been announced that, by the way, COVID restrictions aren't getting lifted again. Don't leave your county or whatever, don't leave Northland to come to Southland. So a lot of people were scared, but luckily we did manage. It was outside, and I said nobody will be touching and all that or getting in close contact, so luckily a lot of people showed up for us for this final big scene, because we needed it. We needed to have scale here to show the final scrap, the final standoff, and the result of it. It just wouldn't have made sense with only a few people. And then you can see all the different colours, the childhood colours coming to take what they're due from the boys. Again, this is not something anyone even really asked about. In fact, one of the boys on set asked me about the colours, why the colours, but nobody ever asked me when they were interviewing me for the film, but maybe they just thought I thought it looked good. But and then this is a wee beret to signify the boys are no more.
Is that all of them then?
I think so. We got the leader and the wee one first.
And they've been reduced to, and this was like, I suppose, I don't know what was in my head with this, no country maybe, this idea that they don't get to see the final. We've already seen quite a lot of like the action and scraps and all that. What's the point in showing the boys actually dying or getting done in or whatever? I think it was just good to have this sort of, I don't know, it felt like it hit home more when I was writing it and when I was shooting it, that you would just have this summary from them about, that's that then. As you, almost like when you find out someone you know has died, like, just like, they died, and it's like, God. That was kind of what I wanted for the troops, but one remains. You forgot about Rocco. There's Owen belting it down, man, as the gunshots go off and you see all the bodies there. That was from Come and See, I think. The idea, because you never saw the bodies there as you saw the close-ups, but the idea as you run away you see all these bodies stacked in the background, that was definitely a steal from Come and See. Devastating film. And then here, this ground is solid. Watch this, Owen. He goes right down and it felt like concrete underneath it. And he says, do you want me to do it again? I can do it harder. He'd done a few takes and he was just, Owen was just such a trooper, man. Then we blew his, ripped his trouser up and bloodied him up, and there's Rocco with the shotty. He got the bullets off Frankie Boy, as he said he would. Chekhov's gun, the gun returns. And then here we've got in the background, the sort of sound design is the ghosts of the boys, where they used to hang about, making their plans for the future and coming to haunt Owen as he tries to escape. And this was like this scene through the forest. I had the conformist in my head for this, the end scene. Just the kind of low light and the branches and handheld camera for certain bits. It was just lots of things going through my head. And then we end up back in Coalbridge. This is supposed to be at the end of Mockton, and then we got really lucky here with the light just shining only through the tunnel, and then you get to see the shadows of the boys. Where is it you see it? I think it's here. You get to see the shadow of the boys on the wall here, just from that gold light coming through from, it's like a winter's morning where the sun's always low. Yeah, you can see the boys in the berets. The next gen, and there's the chief in a bin. And the boys are masked up, carrying on tradition, getting revenge for the previous gen. And then that was it. God. That 84 minutes. And then the score kicks in. But aye, that was blast for the past, and I watched that all the way through in a good while, so hope that was interesting. And then we get the score kicking in. That was, I wrote that, and then Pat came in and done his thing and really made it sound like an actual score. But aye, a lot of good people helping out on that film and making it happen, giving their time and giving a lot more than I deserved. But we got into the festival, the Glasgow Film Festival, and we got a red carpet moment and a lot of experience, a lot of learning curves, and got to meet a lot of good people, and it was what a ride. But hope this was interesting. If I missed anything out, just let me know. Thank you.